What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel. Check out the content. And with that being said, man, I want to speak about a recent episode of The Odd Couple, right? And they were talking about Justin Jeffries and how he is upset because the Minnesota Vikings allowed Sam Darnold to get away. And now when Sam Darnold was in Minnesota, they had a really good season, right? And a lot of people, I know that I was really scratching my head as to why they got rid of, why they let him go. I thought it was a bad decision, especially since the success that he had. But I guess the team didn't really, they must have thought it was a fluke. And they thought that, they could do better bringing in another quarterback. I forgot the name of the quarterback that's there now, right? So they let him go. Now, here he is getting ready to play the Super Bowl this upcoming weekend. And the Minnesota Vikings, have to sit home and watch Sam Darnold play in the Super Bowl. Win or lose, you got to sit home and watch this guy playing the Super Bowl. Especially they could have been maybe built on what they did last year, and who knows, they might be sitting in the Super Bowl this year, right? So, and also, let me see who got fired. The general manager for the Vikings got fired, partly because of the decision to get rid of or not sign Sam Darnold. So, with that being said, I'm going to play the audio right from The Odd Couple, and I'm gonna come back and I'm gonna give my opinion and input on what I think, what happened, what went wrong here.
Super Bowl. We're not talking about the dinner we're having. We're not talking about my buns being buttered or whatever it is that we're saying. We're here. We're here because the Super Bowl is rapidly approaching, 6 days away.
Buns being buttered.
You asked for them.
The Seattle Seahawks and the New England Patriots. And guys,
yes,
to be quite honest, the biggest storyline of this game, I believe, is Sam Darnold.
Without a doubt.
One way or the other, either it's the redemption story everyone's exciting about, or Rob Parker, hey, he's going to turn into a pumpkin. This is when it finally happens, and we're just waiting for the downfall. Well, his former teammate in Minnesota, Justin Jefferson, spoke with USA Today Sports and asked about, who he's rooting for in the Super Bowl. Is he happy to see his former teammate there? Of course he is. He's very excited to see Sam Darnold. But then he took it a step further, and he said this, quote, "Everyone knows the difficulty of the quarterback position this year, how we were dealt it." Talking about his own situation in Minnesota, J.J. McCarthy being hurt, so on and so forth. But having a quarterback that already had a season under his belt with us, knew the plays, knew the playbook, knew the players, throwing to me, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkins, and all these guys, I definitely feel like we would have done better with Sam.
You know what?
All right, so before Rob Parker gets started, I agree with Justin Jeffrey's statement. And I just alluded to that, right? They had a season under their belt with Sam Darnold. They had success with Sam Darnold, and it's familiarity, right? So what you're trying to do now is just build on what you had last year. They won a lot of games the year, with him on there. So it just made sense, in my opinion, to do something like, I've seen the Ravens do this. When did the Ravens got rid of, what's the quarterback name? Trent Dilfer. The year after they won the Super Bowl, like Trent Dilfer took them to the Super Bowl. Well, the defense took the Ravens to the Super Bowl, but and then they brought in another quarterback. I forgot that guy's name, but the Ravens, they couldn't duplicate that same success. I just think if it's not broke, then don't fix it. That's just my my opinion. Or if it worked the last time, then you got to build on that until it don't work, until people stop it. But you can't stop it yourself, and a lot of times that's exactly what happened. You're going to go and start rebuilding. I think that chemistry is, sometimes you had a right chemistry. You might not win, it might not be pretty and everything, but a win is a win. The way you win is the way you win. So let me see what Rob Parker is going to say about this situation. Then I'm gonna come back and give some more of my input.
I'm going to poo-poo Mr. Jefferson on this, okay? Because, Kelvin, this is revisionist history by Justin Jefferson.
Okay.
All right? The second to the last game of the regular season last year, do you remember when he came into the locker room and they had him on his shoulders and he won the big game or whatever? Then they had the last game of the year, right, where they had a chance to actually win the division over the Lions. They had the same record, and he turned in a stinker. Remember, in the first half, they were in the red zone time and time again, couldn't get the ball in, couldn't make the plays there. Then they have the poor playoff game against the Rams in that playoff game. So he ended the season on a really bad note and didn't play well because he played well during the regular year. So it's easy now to sit here, Justin Jefferson, and prematurely crown Sam Darnold like he's done something. Because if Sam Darnold turns in that stinker like I'm predicting in the Super Bowl, and I am predicting it, and Seattle doesn't get it done, people will not be singing that tune. We saw this before. Can we get Chris Paul on line number one? Do you remember after they went up 2-0? The Suns went up 2-0 in that finals against Milwaukee. Everybody and their uncle, Chris Paul is the top 3 point guard of all time. Oh, my God, we knew it, blah, 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 blah. He's better than Isaiah Thomas.
Hold up.
But at that time, right? Then Chris Paul's Suns lose the next 4. Giannis goes off, and we haven't heard about Chris Paul and how he's a top 3 point guard of all time. And my point is, be careful before you crown people, because if he has a stinker and a bad one, I dare anybody go back to Justin Jefferson and say, hey, we still want Sam Darnold? Is that the same guy? Because, Rob G., you notice those numbers in those 2 games to end the season are the reason that they didn't want him around, okay? And that's what happened. In the last 2 games, Darnold combined for 23 off-target throws, according to ESPN's research, with 11 sacks. He was 43 for 81 passing, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, and didn't get it done. Had he played well or they won it, a playoff game or won a division, he would have been back. They would have.
All right, so I mean, but that's still what Rob Parker said. It still don't negate what the guy Jeffries is saying, right? He still wanted to, they still could have built on what they had last year. They fell short last year in Minnesota, so they wanted to be able to build on what they had, and it just looks like Sam Darnold just picked up where he left off in Minnesota. He just picked up in Seattle and built on that. The chemistry with these guys. They also have a really good defense there in Seattle. So, I think you would rather have a chance being Sam Darnold's shoes, sitting in the Super Bowl. Even if you go there and you lose, at least you got there. That's all you can, get there at least. Once you get there, then you take care of business when you get there. And I know last year that the guy, it might have been a few people on the team that wasn't happy about, like how Sam Darnold performed in the last game of the season. That just comes with the territory, especially like this game. If Seattle lose and Sam Darnold don't come through for him, and if Seattle, I bet you Seattle won't get rid of Sam Darnold next year, because you don't have quarterbacks who perform like this all the time. And I just think that I'm hoping that Sam Darnold win anyway, right? Because I just like the story. He played for, when he was with the Jets, I thought that Sam was a good quarterback. I just thought that he was with the organization was just terrible, I thought. And then now he winds up with, once he got to the Vikings, and he was having a good season. I was like, that's the guy who I thought could play. The Vikings they still didn't believe in him. They got rid of him, and look what happened this year, right? And so, yeah, man, I would prefer to be in Seattle's shoes than the Vikings' shoes. No matter what happens this Sunday in the Super Bowl, at least he got further this year with a team that he's just got. He don't have any chemistry or any history. I don't know if he don't have no chemistry, but he don't have history with these guys. So he was able to get him there, and that just speaks volumes to to him. On his first try, he gets these guys to the Super Bowl. So, man, yeah, and I know people who are fans of the Minnesota Vikings, and all season long they was just kicking themselves because the Vikings was losing games at the same time when you got Seattle winning games and Sam Darnold looking like he was, you know, looking like he was headed to the Super Bowl. And so the Vikings was kicking themselves, and it is what it is. I think no matter how Sam Darnold play this Sunday, I bet you $3 that they will not let him go next year. And so that's my thoughts on it. I disagree with Rob Parker. And so yeah, that's my take on it, man. Y'all make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also, don't forget to leave a comment. And with that being said, I'll check you all out in the next video. Peace.